MyNEWPhilly, you got a friend in us this evening in Trust the Process Live, only here on MyNEWPhilly, in the MyNEWPhilly studios once again. On my right, Mr. Five Digits, Max Coolish. On my left, James Jackson. I am your host, Sean Northgrave, and we want to welcome you in and ask you all out there to share this show. If you hear something during it that inspires a comment from you, don't be afraid. Go ahead and throw it up there. We'd love to hear from you guys.
If you don't share it, you might step in dog poop tomorrow, and you don't want that to happen.
Oh, jeez.
That's a strange kind of karma you just invoked on the entire audience.
Yeah, you really.
I'm trying to save everyone else because that's what happened
Don't
to me
put that on us, Max Coolish.
I'm trying to take one for the team, so.
Well, guys, trying to take one for the team is what the Sixers have been doing for quite some time now. It has been a really just a tough stretch. A lot of turmoil going on in this team. They won their last 2-4 in their last 6, though, and they brought in some new guys. Before we get to the guy everybody wants to talk about, they have some new guys in the building. We have 2 new guys in the building in Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson, and a third acting brand new in Furkan Korkmaz. Are these pieces, are they game changers to the season, or are they just bench warmers?
I mean, there's got to be a happy medium in there somewhere, right? Look, like Burks, GR3, and Furkan are not, like, you know, they're not going to be 3 all-star starters next year, but I think they're probably a clear upgrade on what the Sixers bench was. And frankly, I'll be honest, I made no expectation. I made no thought to myself that the Sixers would have any kind of activity at the trade deadline. I just didn't think we had the means to do so. They got Burks and Robinson for peanuts, and Burks has been on fire for Golden State this year. With all the games D'Angelo Russell missed before he went to Minnesota, Burks was, you know, playing like a borderline all-star in some of those games. Like, that dude is going to maybe not be, you know, at that level for the Sixers, but he is most certainly a capable backup unit point guard, and he's going to average good minutes for us, and so is Glenn Robinson. In terms of Korkmaz, like, I don't know how this keeps happening where it's just like, it's just a full cycle. Like, every couple weeks he'll have like these 2 games back-to-back where he's just absolutely going crazy, and then a couple games he'll just kind of go nowhere. So are they game changers? I say out of the 3 of them, Korkmaz is the only one that can be a true game changer on a nightly basis because of his ability to shoot the 3 at such a high.
You were doing so well, Max.
Okay,
you were
talk
doing
to me. Right, because
so
Glenn Robinson
well.
is going to sink 8 or 10
You
threes
were
or whatever
doing
he did the other night. That's
so
not his game.
well until you told me Furkan Korkmaz is a game changer.
I didn't say that.
You don't
Can
have
we
to
check
hold
the
in your
tape? I
left.
didn't say that he is a game changer. I said he
have to hold
can
in
be a
your
game
left.
changer. You want me to get your Q-tips for next week?
You don't have to hold in your left because I thought it was hilarious too. And I think the Furkan show that we saw over these past 2 games, I thought was really, I don't want to say cute, but it's really fun to watch. It was really awesome.
It was cute. You can call it cute,
right?
You can call it what it is.
It was cool. I'm glad Furkan getting his little shine. But I think
shine.
But I think there's a difference in between
He's a hater.
I think there's a difference. I'm a realist. And here I'm going to bring you back down to earth. Listen, I think there's a difference between what Furkan is doing if the Sixers are a 1-2 seed in the East and what Furkan did now that they're a 6-7 seed in the East.
We're halfway through the year.
When you're a 1-2 seed in the East and you're 7th, 8th man on the bench pops off like that, it's a whoa, cool, look what he did. That's awesome. I wonder if he can continue to do it and continue to be good support for our team. When he does it and you're the 6th, 7th team in the East and it's a thank God he did this or else we wouldn't have beat the Bulls at home, one of the worst teams in the league. Thank God he did this to make up for the fact that Joel Embiid let Luke Cornett go off for a career high. Thank God for the fact that Furkan did this, or else Zach LaVine's 35-point game would have beat us at home. There's a difference between Furkan doing this for a top seed in the East and Furkan doing this to literally will you to win the past 2 games. There's a difference.
And I think you make a great point that this does feel like a bandage over a hole in the dam, and the water is seeping out.
And I can see why you guys wanted to focus on this because this is the shiny, fun thing to focus on, not the fact
What
that
do you
we're
mean, bro?
6
I'm
in
ready
the
to
East
talk.
going
I'm
into
ready
the
to talk.
All-Star
And
break.
we're halfway through the year. So much happens after the All-Star break. Look, if we're still having this conversation in late March, happily will eat my words if the Sixers are still struggling along and sputtering as a 6th seed. But the fact of the matter is, in 2 weeks, they could be a 2 seed. They could be a 3 seed by the next time I see you. Well, actually, no, it's not possible with the All-Star break. But maybe in the next 2 times I see you, they can make drastic jumps. Look, all I'm saying is this. You ask me who can be a game changer out of the 3 of them. In order, Korkmaz, Burks, Robinson. Because Burks and Robinson don't have the opportunity.
I didn't ask you to choose
Did you ask me who can be a game changer or who is? Who did you ask me?
Are these pieces
You didn't have to choose one. You could say none of the 3 are game changers.
No, he has. When the tape shows, you say who can be a game changer out of these 3.
Run it back.
We can happily run it back. My ears work fine, unlike the 2 of you. Look, I'll say this. If Furkan Korkmaz gets enough confidence to shoot like this once every 10 games, one of those 10 games will happen in the playoffs, and the
had
second one will happen in the
We
playoffs
had this
too.
same exact conversation the first time Furkan did something crazy. What, in October? And it's now February, and that's the gap that you get between breakout games of Furkan Korkmaz.
Wow. Breaking news, everybody at
Cool.
home, the 9th person off the bench
That's
doesn't
my
always
point,
go
man.
for 30
Cool is-
points.
All
That's my
right.
You're
point.
making my point.
All right, gentlemen, find your
Making my
corners.
point.
We got to keep going in this. There was a lot of patience and there was a lot of panic in the conversation that we just had. Not a lot of patience, but a lot of panic. And I ask you guys now, straight up, is it time for panic or patience for this group of 76ers? Because as JJ pointed out, if Furkan's not in those games, the 0-4 road stretch could have extended into an 0-6 and we're having a different
Are you guys really
conversation.
going to make it seem like Furkan Korkmaz's points disappear and nobody scores? Like, it's just like, oh, we lose those 29 points and I guess we just forfeited all those offensive possessions? That's not
Who you
how
getting them
scoring
from?
works.
Who you getting them from?
Doesn't matter. We don't know because those possessions happened and Korkmaz scored. I'm not sure where these hypotheticals are coming into it.
You're watching the same
okay,
games
so
I am.
here's what you're trying to tell me. That you take away Korkmaz's points and you take away nobody else's points and everything else just happens like that? Look, we're getting off topic here, so I'm going to say this. The panic button is out and the glass is open. I'm not pressing the button yet, but we are halfway into the season. I have seen enough of a sample size to know that this Sixers team is not what was advertised, and it kills me to say that. It kills me to say that, and you guys know that. Look, it sucks watching them struggle to beat the Bulls by 7 when they're up by 15 at multiple points in the game. That should not happen. And for the first time, I'm going to say this. I've been a staunch defender of a certain coach on that Sixers team for a very long time, and I'm getting ready to say that this is Brett Brown's final dance. He needs to shape up or ship out.
You were going to say. I don't know.
so really-
No, I have defended him multiple times. It's not always the coach. Sometimes it is the players. But when the same issues happen repeatedly for years, this is not a this season thing. They still turn the ball over a ton. Ben Simmons has shot 1 3 since Brett Brown says he wants to shoot 1 a game months ago. That is an issue with coaching and how that roster is handled. I have given him every benefit of the doubt, and personally, I still think he can do it, but something needs to change. There needs to be that Brett Brown in, what was it, game 3 or 4, that halftime speech against the Nets last year. That needs to be every night moving forward because these players know that when he's not on that level, when he's not, red-faced, ready to explode off the top like a cartoon character, they know they can just do whatever they want and get away with whatever they want, and no winning team or winning culture or winning franchise ever has started with that. So yes, the panic button is out and it's ready to be pushed. All I'm going to say is this. They have said for this has been consistent with Brett Brown and having serious contending teams. They have always said, the first half of the season is for adjusting and figuring it out. And partly is because that's been, with all the roster shakeup that's been happening, you need time for players to gel. But traditionally, the last couple of years, the Sixers have been a very second half of the year focused team. So I'm willing to give him one last benefit of the doubt. If he can do what he's done the last 2 years in the second half of the season post All-Star break, the Sixers will be okay. If not, something needs to change, and to me, it's the head coach at this point. And I have long tried to stay away from that. You guys can go back and check any episode you want where we've talked about Sixers. I've never once said it's Brett Brown. And today, I'm starting to finally feel that it has to be something that isn't the players.
So it sounds like
I want to go on record saying I've been out.
You've very much been out.
Yeah.
I've been out.
so
Biden,
it's
very
That's fine, man.
It sounds like you're almost playing Deal or No Deal, and like it's right before break.
Yeah.
When you got your hand over the button, it's like
Will I
no
buy-
deal.
No deal,
Howie.
Howie.
Slam it. Deal or no deal, panic or no panic, James.
I'm gonna go. If we're gonna have to err on the side of panic and no panic, I'm gonna have to go panic. It's time. It's time to throw all the reservations, to throw all the the excuses why, the reasons why the Sixers could turn it around. You got to throw it out the window because I need to see it happen. Going into the All-Star break is not directly midway point through the season. The All-Star break is home stretch of the season. There are 30 games after the All-Star break. It is absolutely go time. And for the expectations that the Sixers had and expected to have coming into the season, which was a conference finals or a finals run, let's be very realistic. I think in order for that to actually happen, a top 2 seed needs to happen going into the playoffs. Because if you go into that second round not having home floor, you risk losing in 7 a great deal. You risk having that. So in order for that push to happen, change needs to be made right now. It needs to happen with the start of Joel Embiid not playing in the All-Star game. If Joel Embiid plays in the All-Star game, there is seriously room for panic because it points to what you were talking about, Max, that the same issues are happening. And if the same issues are happening, this is no longer a 21-year-old, Joel Embiid, no longer a 20-year-old Ben Simmons. No, it's veteran time. It's time for you to step
Those
up
are
and
all-stars,
change.
man. You got to act like it on and off the court.
Absolutely.
And we're getting a little bit ahead of it. James, and I want to give at least the side of patience here. And I think you brought up a really good point. Just think about how much roster turnover there's been since the Jimmy Butler trade last November. And how little cohesion this team has had to figure it out and to play around each other. You look at a team like the Bucks, they've been playing with each other for a long time. Like Budenholzer, even though he hasn't been there forever, he has had the same guys and he has that same cohesion. So if there's any sense for patience in this city, just think about that. Just think about how these guys haven't had time to play, gel, figure out everyone's position on the floor. But you mentioned the biggest guy, and we haven't talked about him yet in full, and it's Joel Embiid. And this is now perplexing to me. I can't figure this out. This is Philly's favorite son, who is now being booed at home games. Like, Ben Simmons was the whipping boy for all of these years, and now the tide is turning. You heard Director Jim before talking about how he's been done. You saw on our social media this week, we cooked up several fake trades for Embiid to get him out of town.
Very fake trades.
How did we get here? How is this possible? He's out. He's not coming back. The bus left. Is Joel Embiid losing the city, or is the city losing Embiid?
Embiid's losing the city. Embiid is absolutely losing the city. And you talked about it, how the city of Philadelphia was patient through the process years. They trusted it. They said, we know you're not going to be able to play this year, next year, and hell, the year after that. We know. We know.
We're 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Yeah. Like, we knew this was a long process, a long play. But it is time for you to pay your debt. It is time for you to turn over that new leaf and do what you said you were going to do. Max, do you remember, I believe this is October or November, one of the Sixers' first games on national TV, Joel Embiid erupts for a 30-10 game. The mic goes in front of him, and he says, I am the most either said unguardable, unstoppable, dominant figure in the league, and it's not close. Yeah. He has not consistently backed that up.
And he hasn't been on the floor to show it.
And it would be outside of the character of the city of Philadelphia for you as a superstar to set a bar here and consistently be under it and everyone be okay. You wanted a passionate sports city. You got one. That's not just in the good times, buddy. We're not just going to erupt and cheer. We're going to let you know when you're underperforming and consistently, and that it is not okay. This is like one of your best behaved kids, one of your best kids, all of a sudden just getting in trouble, getting detention, getting kicked out of school. I'm not going to be okay with that. I know you're here. If I see you consistently being under here, I'm going to let you know that that is not okay. Shushing people and then telling them to shut the F up and then playing our intelligence as if you didn't tell the fans to shut the F up is bad. If you're going to do
I didn't even know that happened, honestly.
If you're going to do that, at least be 10 toes down and be like, yeah, I told y'all to shut up. We probably respect it a little bit more. But for you to backtrack and play as if you didn't do that, it's just you're talking a lot of talk and not walking any of the walk. And it's frustrating to say the least.
It's hard for me to disagree with that statement as a whole, but I think your reasoning is more so off. If you think about it, right, for the last, since Embiid has arrived in the city, right, think about it. Last year was like their first year of being like, hey, maybe we can do something legitimate in terms of the grand scheme of the league, right? But by the time the playoffs rolled around, very clearly Jimmy Butler was the inside the locker room leader of that team, right? Jimmy Butler moves on. Going into this year, nobody really steps up, takes that reign until Embiid puts it on himself, which is the first time that someone who has been, organic process member has really been, besides Brett Brown, has been like, hey, I got us. This is what's going to happen. And let's be honest, this is the first time in a long time. We don't know how to handle expectations with basketball anymore. We as a city are most certainly used to like, hey, the Sixers got 20 wins that one year. That was awesome because they were only supposed to get 15. And last year we won the title, but there was always okay because you had so many trades midseason, right? This year has always been this is the Sixers' year, and when he steps up and claims responsibility of the guy who is leading that ship, and that ship's hitting a lot of rocks and icebergs and anything else you can hit underwater to throw you off track, that's going to fall on you. And I personally don't think he's ever really had to deal with that in his whole life. Like, think about it. He becomes a basketball prodigy at 16, goes to one of the biggest colleges in the country, shares a team with Andrew Wiggins, who is also like poster boy, golden child, up-and-coming young talent. Wiggins gets most of the big attention. He's the leader of the team in Kansas. Comes to the NBA, doesn't play the first 2 years, barely plays his 30, right? And then that brings us to the last couple years. So he's never really had the opportunity or even the mantra to really be a leader in front of public. And hold on, just let me finish real quick. And all I'm saying is that when things start hitting the fan, so to speak, you don't really know how to react if you've never been there before. And I think that's him just taking his frustrations out on this team, or his frustrations about this team out, and all the frustration that he feels from the city. And hell, they probably have frustration with us. We've been letting them hear it, and deservedly or undeservedly so. And I think that was his first real time of letting it kind of break what the public sees. And look, I'm not going to say that he's on his way out, but I will say that, God forbid, the dude ever does leave, or things come to a fiery, burning car crash at the end, not literally. This could be the moment people are like, that's where it all started.
No, there are two rebuttals I have for that. One, I think Sixers fans are so hard on him because it's not I want you to leave. It's because I want you here. And if I want you here, that means I want you playing to the best of your ability. It's not running you out of town. It's, dog, do better because I know you can do better. It's tough love. It's what Philly was made out of. And from the standpoint of Joel Embiid sitting out his first 2.5 years, he saw Philadelphia fans from the sideline, right? He saw what happens when the Eagles underperform. He went to them games. Yeah. He saw, whoa, Carson throws 3 interceptions and they don't react too kindly. Whoa, Ben Simmons doesn't perform or doesn't shoot or doesn't stretch the floor. They don't react too kindly. Bryce Harper goes in a slump. They don't react too kindly. He saw it. So I don't think there should be any surprise that you're going to get this backlash from the fans. You got to be expecting that, especially if you were the one to put it upon yourself.
My only point is this, and I'll leave it at this. My point is that he's not getting mad as Joel Embiid, the player. He's getting mad as Joel Embiid, the leader of the Sixers.
And I can't stress this enough. You were talking about like athletes when you were saying those people. Joel Embiid missed 2.5 years, stepped on the court, hit a shot, and got a standing ovation. He was the greatest thing to happen in this city from the second he stepped on the court until recently.
Still can
be. And it's absolutely shocking. Very quickly, guys, should Joel Embiid sit out the All-Star game, yes or no?
If 100%. If that goddamn hand isn't fully healed, then he better not step a second on the floor.
Not only should he sit out the All-Star game, he should be running wind sprints pre, halftime, and post-game.
Well, good luck with that.
I will say this. If he wants to play the All-Star game only left-handed and that right hand in such a thick cast that if someone touches it, it might bruise them, I'm cool with that too.
I'd love to watch that.
I mean, like one of the clubs, the defensive line, the club cast defensive linemen. If you want to do that, Joe, feel free. Get everything up left-handed. Maybe it'll help you in the post.
Well, that's all we have for the first half of the show today, guys. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, Kings Bar Cabinets.
Tom, this is amazing. Man, I should have went with Kingsmark from the beginning.
It was a pleasure working with you.
If I ever see that other contractor again.
Hey, big guy. Wife let me in. Just here to finish up those cabinets.
For all your cabinetry needs, contact Kingsmark Custom Cabinets and Design.
Welcome back for the second half of the show today. We are going to be doing rapid fire Oscars style. The Oscars, the Academy Awards, were on last night. We're going to be giving out some awards ourselves about the NBA season at the midway point. And gentlemen, first off, I have to ask you, what was the best original screenplay this season? What has been the most surprising story in the league, or the best story in the league so far?
I love that screenplay where the Raptors rattle off 14 straight right before the All-Star break and are a top 2 seed in the East even without Kawhi Leonard. That one was really good to me because coming into the season, you saw the Raptors lose, who maybe was the best player on earth last year, definitely had the best playoff run. And you saw them.
You don't got to pander to the
the best player on the planet, and you saw them add nothing. Not one person, not one role player, not one coach, not one person was added.
Rondé Jefferson?
Okay, I'm sorry. There's a role player that they added. Shout out Rondé from Philly. Shout out Philly. But you saw them, and then you just saw everyone on that team step up. Kyle Lowry stepped up. Pascal Siakam stepped up. Crazy. Fred VanVleet has stepped up crazy. And they have lost not one thing if it's for one seeding. And they were the 2 seed going into the playoffs last year. So the Raptors are right on pace to at least go back to contending. And I think it's a very surprising story. And I don't think it's being talked about enough, actually.
That's fair. For me, I'm going to say as of this current moment in time, the way the bottom area, I don't want to say half, but like the basically like the 6 through, I guess, 10 seeds-ish out west are totally not what anybody expected them to be.
Good and bad.
Exactly, good and bad. Like personally, I Well, obviously, I didn't think the Thunder would even start the season with Chris Paul.
Thank
And with that
you.
in mind, I thought the Thunder were on the fast track to just being like hot, steamy dumpster garbage fire this year. Obviously, they didn't lose Chris.
My goodness.
I mean, think about it. Without Chris Paul, like that's
where they would be.
That's one of the worst rosters in the NBA. Like it's still not one of the best, but Chris Paul does a lot in terms of filling in all the small.
Well, I'm glad
gaps.
you said it because I didn't want to seem like
Them,
a bolster, but
your
I'm glad you did.
Grizzlies, who are exciting to watch and are surprisingly good after starting off terribly. They have been really hot the last couple months. And then you got on the other side teams like the Blazers, who are, I don't want to say struggling because they've been playing better, but they put themselves in such a hole
Overall.
in the first.
robbed so bad last
Yeah.
week.
Oh, that's a whole other
To me,
conversation.
the Kings are in that hole
Yep,
too.
the Kings and-
surprisingly bad.
I think we're going to see a lot of shakeup in that space before the time is over. And I hope it's not true, but I have a very, very awful feeling one of the two of you is really going to be heartbroken by what transpires down the stretch for your squad.
I'm not trying to get my hopes up too much so that heartbreak doesn't happen.
I'm in the exact same spot. Everything's a win this season.
You're right.
I'm not going with the Grizzlies, actually. I'm going with the teeny tiny Rockets. The Rockets are no longer, I think, employ anyone over 6'10". I saw the ghost
No.
of Tyson Chandler the other day.
Yeah.
I got a
That
great,
was,
I
that
got a
was
great
fun.
stat to back you up. I saw this on Twitter. If Josh Richardson was on the Rockets, he'd be the second tallest player in their starting
That's
lineup.
sick. I actually love it. I think it's incredible.
gonna be
But
interesting.
what's crazy is if it wasn't for an improbable Bojan game winner last night, they would have won their first 3 games with that lineup against good squads.
It really will come down to the playoffs, as it does with the Rockets every year. But I just love the experimentation. We're in a new league. Let's try new stuff out. Why do we all need to shoot threes all the
It's
time?
how D'Antoni keeps a job because he's just, you know what I mean? Puts everyone on ice.
We're going to move on to our second topic here. The best picture from this season, moment or play of the season so far.
I'm going to go moment, and sorry if I'm disqualifying myself for choosing something that hasn't happened during a game, but the trade deadline was so incredibly bananas.
On this, the trade deadline
It
was
is
awesome.
Insane.
It was so insane. Like when we look back in a couple years, like you know how every time in draft it's like, oh, you always have to wait a couple years to really grade people properly because you don't know what happens. When we look back and we go to grade the trade deadline at this year, people are going to be like, oh my God, Andre Drummond went to the Cavs for that, and that's just the first example that pops to my head. But all the moves that happened at this trade deadline, like I really can't remember a more active trade deadline than maybe when the Nuggets traded Carmelo to the Knicks.
We got a
it is-
12-player deal.
That's what I mean.
the
That
night
was
before.
and that was the biggest deal that I saw. That's been in like 20 years.
Yeah,
so
I've never seen a deal like
in
that.
terms of like sheer number of players that have switched teams, how teams have reconstructed themselves or deconstructed themselves in some cases. I think this trade deadline is really going to shape the league not only for this year, but maybe for the next couple years. And we're really maybe going to look back at this trade deadline in a couple years to like where did the league end up here? And it's going to be like, oh, because this trade happened in 2019.
Right, and I think you're exactly right. You're gonna when the Timberwolves, I think, are in 3 or 4 years now have D'Lo and Devin Booker and Cat, are kind of good. You're gonna be like, whoa, you remember in 2020 when they all of a sudden got D'Lo for nothing? Like
For nothing.
I think
The Warriors did a fire sale. We got Burks and Robinson for like second-round picks, and I didn't even think that was fathomable for what I thought the
I think
price
it's
on
been
Burks
hilarious.
alone was.
It's been 2 games, and I don't think anyone has even realized James Ennis isn't there anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I love James Ennis. All heart, all hustle. I hope he does well in Orlando, but Robinson is definitely appearing to be an upgrade over him. thus
Best
far.
picture moment of play of the season.
It came after one of the worst tragedies it's happened in my entire life, not only just in this NBA season, but I think of all the tributes, and I think it's only right that the Lakers had the best Kobe Bryant tribute. I don't want to say that because they're all great in their own way. They all honor the legacy of Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm trying to say. But the most memorable one to me was the one that the Lakers had, pre-game before they played the Portland Trailblazers, the first game they played after the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant. I mean, I think it encompassed his life, his legacy, what he wanted to do after basketball, plus his relationship with his daughter and his wives.
Man. It was so
It
good.
was so long.
It was so good.
I low-key thought it was misplaced. I thought they should have done it first and then did the warm-ups because the players warmed up, then got very stiff, had to wait
That's fair.
40 minutes until
Yeah.
they went from warm-ups to play. That stiffens you. There's a 6'5" and plus guys out there. That stiffens you up way too much.
It's dangerous.
That's fair.
It's very
I
dangerous.
I honestly didn't even put those 2 and 2 together.
And I
but
think
would
it's
agree
why
with
the
that.
game started so slow. If you remember watching the game, it started off with like 8 straight misses. Everyone's like, all right, let's get in the form here. But the tribute in itself, I think, is going to be. Let's face it. I think the NBA season is kind of overshadowed in a whole. Everything. Pop put it greatly. Who cares what happens this season? Everything. This is
This is the
icing on
Kobe
the cake.
Bryant.
Yeah, this
year.
is anything we do this year. It's to honor Kobe Bryant. I think it started with that, and I think the Lakers did a tremendous job of encompassing, Kobe as a whole.
I love stuff like that. I mean, obviously, it's in such an awful scenario, but there's really nothing cooler than just seeing the full career highlights from Lakers to the USA
life.
team
The life.
to 8 to 24, with Shaq, post Shaq, all of it was covered, and the Lakers really didn't mince anything, and they had a lot of awesome
And
sound
I
bites.
think
in
it
there.
was awesome because they made it almost a public memorial.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people aren't going to get out to see, Kobe Bryant, even who don't go to games. Like even people who live on the East Coast, everyone watching there felt like they were there to mourn Kobe Bryant. I think the Lakers did a very good job of making the whole country feel like, hey, we're all here together in this moment.
Agreed.
Kobe's tribute, trade deadline. Sixers fans, print this out, hang it on your wall. It's the highlight of the season. It was the Ben Simmons three-pointer. That's your best picture from
I
the
was
year.
there for that in person. It was so awesome.
I'll say this, Max.
It was so awesome.
In May, if that's still the best moment of the season, again, we got problems.
Yeah. I think we got a question, though, from the people out there in Facebook land.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get to this sooner. Bill Lumpfell asked us if we're going to explore the buyout market, because I know, Max, you want to talk about that. He threw around the name Dion Waiter.
Homecoming for the boy.
I'm
Yeah,
not.
some Dion Waiter.
I'm not opposed to it. From what I've seen online, the Lakers have already seemed to get first dibs on that. So I guess if he doesn't want to go there, then the door's back open for
But
that.
what about, the J.R. Smith is still out there. Some shooter. I need some shooters, man. Some pullers.
J.R. Smith.
Some
Yikes.
pullers. I
You
know
having
there's names
chemistry
on
problems, and you want to introduce J.R. Smith?
I think we can find better shooters than a guy who's been out of the league for a year
right.
and a half.
I would agree
Personally.
with that, Bill.
Bello wants to have a talk.
Yeah, really.
Bill, thank you so much for that question. Guys, before we move to overtime, quick NBA Finals predictions.
So I guess all the pressure's on me to repeat.
Yes, that's why we did this.
Obvious, but sticks to my theory of great teams need a punch in the gut to get there. Milwaukee Bucks out of the East. And this sounds like a cop-out pick because of the whole Kobe incident. I've had the Lakers all year, and I'm going to stick with that. I think that the Kobe thing just gives them the team of destiny on top of, as far as I see it, this is probably LeBron's best shot at another title before hanging up. Maybe next year, depending on how things go with the whole landscape of the league. But it feels like it's now or never for LeBron, considering the level and energy that he is playing at. And
Who wins?
I'll take Lakers over Bucks in 6.
Lakers over Bucks in 6.
That's eerily similar to what I was going to say. I also agree that it's the Lakers and Bucks, but I think it's going to take the Lakers 7.
Okay.
7 to do it because Milwaukee's going to go in with the best record. They're going to have home floor.
See,
So
and that's
they're
why I
gonna
think
take-
it happens in 6.
Yeah.
I think LeBron just Game 3 or Game 5 just
Wills it.
that LeBron
Yeah.
that LeBron.
Well, to
comes
me,
out
this
for one
is
of
this
those
is how
final
I
games.
picture it. The Lakers to me is like a NASCAR race. That third car right outside where
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it's in the lead. You throw in some NASCAR terms.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it's in the lead, but it's one pivotal turn away from shocking everyone and making that great inside run and taking the lead. So I think that's right where the Lakers are sitting right now. Low key, still have the second best record in the league, and you know what I mean. And I think it's going a little under the radar. So
Before we move on, I think a Lakers-Clippers Western Conference Final would be
What we deserve.
It is
It's what we deserve.
That would be the best basketball we can see this year if Lakers-Clippers go head-to-head.
That was the first NASCAR reference ever in Trust the Process
Yeah,
Life
honestly.
history. We need to
Let's
mark
keep
that.
it going.
thank you.
We will be NASCAR the Process live.
Are we going to start
That one was bad.
making picks on our predictions for Daytona and Indianapolis?
I have
Couldn't tell you
Jimmy
who's
Johnson.
I'll just
Jimmy,
bet.
Jimmy Johnson. Is he still racing?
I don't
He's
know.
still
I
there?
was going to say Jeff Gordon or
Yikes.
Or,
No, I even know Jeff
I know,
Gordon
I know.
racing anyway. My
Kyle Busch. Let's just predict him to win everything because he's good at it.
My NBA Finals prediction, you guys went pretty chalk here, so I'll mix it up. Lakers, I think, pretty much as locky as lock gets. I think they're going to be there. I'm going to take the Lakers over the Miami Heat.
That's the other one I wanted to do. I
And
didn't
I-
have the guts to say it.
And I
didn't have the
love
guts to say
the
it.
things that I love Spoelstra. I love Spoelstra against Giannis. I love that they got AI in anticipation that they're going to need someone who's just
They got Andre
holding-
Iguodala.
wait.
They got
All
Andre-
responsibilities
They got
salary.
Andre
I know,
Iguodala.
they didn't get it.
How dare you?
Did you just call
How dare you?
Iguodala?
And we're now moving on to
That
overtime.
died in 2008.
Peak.
No.
You cannot,
No,
especially
dude, come
in
on,
the confines of the city, can't say
We're gonna
AI
have
if you're not
to
talking about
bring you through the underground tunnel to the local Marriott or something, so you don't get mobbed. When you walk
That's
outside.
fine. LeBron is going to play his former team, the Miami Heat, in the finals. Lakers over them.
If that's
in
the case,
5.
I'll take Lakers in 4.
If it's going to be the Heat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Heat are a tough home team. They
Yeah,
get
it's
one.
all right.
They
Don't
get one.
sleep on Bam. All right,
Anthony Davis will average 30 and 10 if that series comes to fruition.
we're going to do something new on Trust the Process Live as well as give you some NASCAR takes. We're going to go to overtime now because while we did a lot of basketball today, we had to have some time to talk about the newest league that premiered.
Yes.
Exciting, man.
I'm here for it.
FL is.
I'm
does
here
the
for
X
it.
stand for excitement?
I
I'm sorry,
guess.
like, does anyone actually know that?
That
Isn't
might have
it
made up for
extreme?
the AI thing.
It
That
has
was
to be
really good.
extreme, right? Because isn't this just it's
Extreme.
technically a reboot of the old XFL?
Yeah.
It's
Extreme Football League.
Yeah.
Extreme, okay. So my question: has the XFL lived up to the hype?
See, the hype always hits hardest the first weekend. So I'm going to say yes because statistically it did better on TV than the AAF did. It feels like the product itself was more polished and
Bing.
people were
That's
more
why.
about it in terms of the football. But they absolutely got some of these rule, I don't want to call them changes, maybe rule nuances.
They're new
Amendments?
Yeah.
Amendments is probably the best way to put it. I love some of these. Within 5 years, 5 to 10 years, the XFL kickoff is how we're watching every kickoff
Yeah, I
on
think
Sunday.
so.
Yeah.
Don't doubt that.
I think so.
And I love, even though coaches didn't really take advantage of it this weekend, I love going for 1, 2, or 3 and no extra points after. I think eventually when coaches figure out the strategy part of the game, I think that's going to be extremely interesting to see. You score the first touchdown, what do? Do you go up 7, 8, 9, nothing? Like, what do you try to go for? Do you immediately, like, you know, there's going to be the head coaches that are aggressive and they're going for the 3-point conversion every time. Then you're going to have your guys who are old school and, hey, I can get 2 yards if I just run my tailback right up my center. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to be really interesting. And this is something we haven't seen. I don't know if you guys are even aware of this. There's a 2 forward pass rule in the XFL.
Yeah, I did hear about this.
If you throw the ball forward and it stays behind the line of scrimmage, you can throw it forward again, my friend. So it didn't happen this week. I guarantee you the first time one of those plays turns into a touchdown, that is going to explode on social media. It's going to explode on social media. And I think really that's the only peak that they didn't hit this weekend.
So it has lived up to the hype.
So
Is
far.
it here to stay?
I do think it's here to stay. There's definitely a place for it. I think it filled the void in a lot of people's hearts that football left when the NFL ended.
Yeah.
I need something. I need football. I need something.
football.
I need something good to watch. And I think why it's here to stay, and plus why it was exciting, why it lived up to the hype, is because the on-field product was just as good as all the off-field stuff. All the interviews right after coaches or
They
after
love
the
all of
score.
them. They need to tone that down a little bit. Sorry.
A little bit, but I think it's here to stay because it's in its own lane.
Yeah.
It's the raw version of the NFL. All those players that have a little bit of NFL talent and a whole lot of mouth, the XFL is for you. All those players that want to shotgun a beer after the game after you win,
was awesome.
the
That was
XFL is
awesome
for you.
watching that.
All the players who get unfiltered on the sidelines and the NFL doesn't allow you to really express that, the XFL is for you. There is a lane for a bunch of different players and coaches and executives.
And they don't drug
really.
test for pot.
The XFL is for you.
XFL's
Come
for you.
on.
So what we're saying
Josh
is
Gordon.
next year it's going to be Jim Irsay owning a team with Johnny Manziel and,
And,
Josh
and,
Gordon.
and Josh Gordon and OBJ and Trent Richardson, the XFL is for you.
When
I'm
Yeah,
surprised,
you can just do that.
I'm tuned.
That's
I am
great.
I'm surprised that Trent Richardson's not already on a roster. Maybe he is actually, but I don't know.
Mike
But
Singletary is the head coach. I am tuned in. I'm tuned in.
You know what? You actually just sold me. I'm gonna watch some XFL.
You should.
I watched
I'm too-
zero.
before
this week.
we move on, I gotta
Zero
ask you guys one more
XFL.
quick question
None.
about XFL. What do you guys think about them just going all in on the gambling? Because they have the spread on the TV and the over/under on the point team.
It filled a hole in my wallet.
Yeah, I won actually. I hit on the Guardians and on the Battlehawks, baby. Let's go.
Here's the thing that the
I hit
XFL,
too.
the XFL does not have to worry about. One, you got to remember who it's run by. It's run by Vince McMahon, the guy who's like, if you out of balance is in balance for me.
Yeah.
So, and the XFL is free to explore pretty much anything they want to. If they want to have a whole betting broadcast, we'll have a whole betting broadcast. Like this is the league where experimentation is going to work. That X might stand for experimentation. Like anything,
Oh,
that
will
was
go
good.
into sleep.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Both of you, good lord. That is some degenerate
What do you mean,
level
dude? I got
shit if
nothing
you guys
else
are
to do.
betting on the XFL.
What else am I supposed to do while I'm losing my college basketball picks?
What
Like, come on.
1-800-GAMBLER.
Dead DA. And with that, we have to move on to tap outs now. We got to get out of here. Which one?
I can go
which- you
first.
wanna go?
I got a pretty
Is it
easy one.
1-800-GAMBLER?
No, dude, come on. I don't got a problem. I'm bored on the
It's only a
weekends.
problem if you lose, man.
Yeah, exactly.
What were the names of the teams you guys
St.
got
Louis
on this?
Battlehawks, New York
I'll forgive
Guardians,
you.
Gladiators,
I'll forgive you,
Guardians.
Max.
It was against the Guardians.
Guardian. No, the Battlehawks were
Guardians.
against the Renegades.
Look at you. Look at you.
We'll get.
This is my.
I know 3 of the 4 teams
I will
that played on
forgive you
Sunday.
if
I'm
you
good.
can name me 5 total players from those 3 teams. Name me 5 players.
From 5. Oh, jeez.
I saw Taylor Hinkie out there, and I think that gets me.
Yeah, that's on St. He's on St. Louis. Taylor Higgins on St. Louis. I'm going to throw this out there because we didn't touch on it. Not on that team, but PJ Walker. I know, I have to go this in. PJ Walker is.
Philip is playing in the
He's a starting quarterback for the Houston Roughnecks, and that's my squad moving forward for anybody who wants to know. If you're a Temple one, you're a Houston Roughnecks fan for the XFL season. Yes. All right, whatever. I can name them. I don't want to do it now in the sake of time.
You can't name them.
I can, just.
Aaron Murray's out there.
But he's on the
So Derek
Vipers.
King's out there too.
He's on the Vipers.
All
though.
right, let's get to the
All
tap outs. What are we doing here?
My tap out is simple. On Friday is the world's most famous corporate manufactured holiday, Valentine's Day. And I'm not going to lie, man. This has got me in a knot this year. No problem bringing my girl out, spoiling her, dinner, drinks, all that stuff. Totally fine. She wants flowers, also totally fine. The issue is she's sending me flowers that cost $80, $120, $130. I love my girlfriend, but oh my God, is that a little bit too expensive for flowers for me personally? Am I going to buy them? Yes, because it's not worth what happens after if I don't.
I don't think
But
what you're doing right now is worth it.
As a man with a moral code, that is too damn much for flowers. It just is. I don't care if they're shaped like a teddy bear or whatever. Those flowers do not cost you that much money to put together. So I'm going to say this. Spend as much money as you see fit on your girl, wife, fiance, mistress, guma, whoever.
Guma!
Yeah. Italian for mistress.
I love it.
But please, just don't do it just because it's expensive, because make sure you're not getting like a terrible product. All I'm going to say is this. My point is that corporate manufactured holidays are awful, and it sucks that we are so goddamn deeply entrenched in them at this point, because I would love this just to be another regular Friday where I bring my girlfriend out for dinner and drinks and not have to spend all the extra money because it's Valentine's Day.
Lord, please watch over Max Coolish as he goes to visit
I'm
his
fine, man.
girlfriend.
I got it settled. I already got my flower arrangements picked out. I'm actually going to place my order tonight. Got my dinner reservations all picked out. I got this on lock. I got this on lock. It doesn't mean I'm happy about it by any means. That's all.
I'll talk to you next Monday, Max, and we'll go over how
we'll be all good.
Narrator voice. He didn't have it.
didn't
on lock.
have it.
All right.
This is not on lock.
When I take over the
Max, stop
TTP
talking. Max,
Instagram
stop
and just blast
Max,
you guys
stop
with my Valentine's Day dinner, we'll see who's laughing then.
At where? At where?
We will
Chicky and
still be
Pete's?
laughing.
After all this,
Chicky and
Chicken
Pete's?
I'm sure.
Maybe
we
that's
will be
why you
laughing.
don't have a date this Friday. What do you think? You're going
Look,
to Chicky and Pete's?
Listen, no, I understand that Valentine's Day you got to come out the wall, and I have no complaint about it. You just blasted it on just. I hope your girl's not
Yeah.
watching, like saying.
I don't care. I already told it to her face. I think these flowers are too expensive.
Lord.
Honestly, respect. Well done, Coolish.
Lord.
Way to not put yourself in the hole.
This is what I mean. If you're gonna say it, be 10 toes down on it. Man, just 10 toes down on it. Absolutely.
Too
JJ,
expensive,
what do you
I'm gonna
get?
do it anyway.
My tap out is one of my favorite rapper, my favorite artist, musician of all time. Lil Wayne dropped an album last week, and it became the #1 album in the country this week. And I'm just so happy and ecstatic that it's after all these years, and it's still when a major project drops, I can look at Lil Wayne and say he has not lost a he. It's like LeBron in year 17. We still talking about him as MVP. Go ahead and get your Wayne shine. The #1 album in the country. Go Peep Funeral. I won't talk about it too much. Just let you listen to it. But Young Money over everything. Wayne got one. I love to see it.
Great.
And he's
Good
never
stuff.
changed because even to this day, he still has a couple of tracks on his incredibly long album. Come on, man.
Yeah.
He's off.
Oh, you gonna have some misses. No one shoots 100% from the field. No one shoots 100% from
No
the
one
field.
does.
But we still put up all-star numbers.
Lil
That's what
Wayne's
matters.
my favorite rapper of all time. You don't gotta tell me anything. I love the
I
album.
love it, Max.
Not to turn this into like a rap debate show, but you don't make 100% of the shots you take, but you also don't need to take 50 shots a night. Like you can settle in. I respect Weezy. Here's my tap out. I finished The Sopranos, the series, early January. I finished The Sopranos Sessions, the book by Matt Zoller Seitz and Alan Sepinwald a couple days ago, and it actually really does feel like there's a presence that has left my life. They ended the book talking about the late life and the greatness of no spoilers. I'm not spoiling for you.
Okay.
They ended the book. Well, unless you didn't know that James Gandolfini was dead.
Oh, yeah, no, I
that's a
didn't know
spoiler.
that. Okay.
So they end the book eulogizing his life, talking about how great of a person he was, and he felt like an uncle of mine. Like he felt like somebody that like I knew in my day-to-day life. He missed our time, but he was probably the most prolific actor of his generation, and he never wanted the fame. He never wanted people to really know his name. He didn't understand why people were so infatuated with actors and celebrities. And there are more people in this world that should be like James Gandolfini, because you hear the stories of how warm he was, how accepting he was, how much he made people feel welcome. And it's a lot of the same things that I think about with these stories we hear about Kobe Bryant, and it brought up that sadness as well. So rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, James Gandolfini. If you haven't watched it yet, check out The Sopranos. It's incredible. The Sopranos sessions is worth the read.
I've heard good things. I've heard great things.
It is really good. It's good stuff to watch.
HBO login.
But yeah, we'll hit you guys with it if you guys need it. But that's all we have tonight, guys. On Trust the Process, live from Max Coolest, James Jackson. I am Sean Northgate. You have a great night, Philadelphia.
Yes.
Please.
Have a good Valentine's Day.
Please be safe this Valentine's Day. Don't pull a Max Coolish.
So much for checking
it's
out
so dangerous going to eat Thai food and drinking wine in my house.
My New Philly, where something's always new and everything's always Philly. We check you guys here every Monday at 8 o'clock. Have a great
Go
week.
Sixers tomorrow.
Philly.
Last game before the All-Star break. It's a big one. Beat the Clippers.
Clippers, yeah.
Yeah.
Bang
Sixers don't
James.
play for 9 days after tomorrow. I'm going to be so bored. Guess what I'm going to do? Bet on more XFL this